I noticed time was getting short, so that's actually beneficial for me. My name is Dee Hasler, and I don't do anything without my horse, Leilani's Pride, so my apologies, she had to be on the picture. I'm supposed to talk about versatility today, and part of what I wanted everyone to know, I was supposed to talk about myself, and I'm not good at that. Can you go to the next slide, please? Miss Angel and I started out as the ideal for a versatility competitor. I was a 27-year-old, never had a horse before, never been around horses before. I purchased a 2-year-old Tennessee walking horse mare. I had a big long list of everything she should have been. 9 to 10, could go anywhere, do anything, load, lead. Found out 6 months after I bought her, she was broke to halter the day before I bought her. But God bless the Tennessee walking horses because she was an old soul in a young body. Over 20 years, and I didn't realize it had been 20 years until we got ready for this, Miss Angel has carried me to almost every award that there is for versatility horses in Inwa, Foch, Tweeba, Spotted Saddle Horse. She's the Platinum Supreme Champion. She's won over 100 ribbons and everything from lead line class. As my nephew explained to me, we don't do those big shoes. He wanted to get more awards and he couldn't understand why we didn't get them. I said, well, we don't wear those shoes. So these are a few of the people. She's had over 500 different riders, and we gave up counting after that. She's carried special need people into the show ring against able-bodied riders, and there's nothing better than seeing that happen. But what I want to talk about for versatility is I started out being a novice. I now have a barn. We have taken over 30-some horses to national level honors. Everything from Miss Angel, who I was told when I started was a backyard trail horse, to a direct granddaughter of Midnight Sun. And Miss Sugar and Angel compete all the time against each other. Miss Angel is 23 this year, and she's still competing at top levels. When I'm asked why, because she's only ever worn keg shoes or been barefoot. We've been blessed. She was well bred when she was bred, and she has legs like this, but versatility is the reason she's healthy today. And the reason I say that is versatility requires you to make your horse move in all sorts of ways. It also makes you learn how to work with your horse. You'll often see long relationships with horses where people will no longer ride for a while after they lose their good versatility horse because like this, it's been a 20-year relationship. It's hard when you ride them and handle them every day. When I started doing versatility and I started learning about walking horses, I'm a little anal, so I went back into the history books and tried to learn as much as I possibly could. And if we have a second, I'd like to share with you something that has been my guiding light since about the mid-90s. This is from the very first registry breeders book of the Tennessee Walking Horse Breeders Association of America. They had 15 articles when these gentlemen sat down to be about the Tennessee walking horse. I'm going to read to you Article 15. The Tennessee Walking Horse Breeders Association of America recognizes it cannot dictate the rules of showing or standards of judgment of plantation or walking horses, but our records the prevailing opinion of its membership to the effect that the Tennessee walking horse is primarily a utility horse and should be judged as a utility horse rather than an ornamental toy. While it is natural and proper that the exhibitor of the horse in the show ring wishes to his entry to show best advantage, there is no occasion to cut or set tails, ginger, fire, or primp the walking horse. Many of the finest walking horses are exhibited by the owners who make daily practical use of them. A horse with a cut and set tail is at a positive disadvantage on the plantation or farm. The association would consider it unfair to penalize an owner who wishes to keep his horse in the most useful condition, and it hopes that in every case where two competitors are the same respect and equal merit, the horse with a natural condition will be awarded the prize over the artificially primped. It is the belief of this association that tail carriage and other points of style and beauty should be improved by careful breeding, not by surgery. And I was asked to let you guys know that was copyrighted in 1938. They knew back then, and it was practical use back then, driving. They were versatility horses back then because they had to be. They didn't have a choice. You had to have a horse that could take the kids to school, could take the cart somewhere, and could also, the kids could have fun and do wild things with their horses and not get killed. Okay, next slide, please. So versatility is a lifetime challenge. What I tell people when they get started with me, I am no longer a trainer. I gave up my trainer's card. I'm not doing it anymore. I've been an instructor since the early 90s. I tell people learn 2 new events each year. Has anybody ever been in the show ring on a non-hoof-banded, non-padded horse? Raise your hands, please. Welcome, you're all versatility people. Versatility is everything from model to gaiting classes to speed events to driving. It's not just, well, those barrel and pole people. What we do at our barn to teach people is teach them very simple basics. If anybody wants to look at the versatility article in the World Walking Horse Association this month, I got asked and was blessed to go ahead and give my basics article, so we'll skip that and make it quicker. It's online all over the place, so you guys can find it. This is my 18-year-old nephew who is on the front cover driving the really spotted horse. He's been doing this since he's about 2 years old, been working with everybody. Next slide, please. So what I want to tell you is there is a 4-year-old and an 84-year-old in these 2 pictures. It is a lifetime that you can do as much or as little as you want in the versatility program. But when I have a pair of 83-year-olds come in twice a week for lessons, their bodies can't handle working on gaiting for an hour. But they can do trail obstacle with these horses, and that is a Pusher's Big Score mare. Now, I'm not big on the new bloodlines, and I consider that new bloodlines. But that mare is as hot as a $2 bill for anybody else. But she is a sweetheart, and I believe, oh, no, not for a while. You'll see an older gentleman pretty soon. They are great big horses, and they love them. We have mobile home steps so that they can get up on their horses. Okay, next slide. So the events. If you can't tell what my favorite event is, Miss Angel and I love barrel racing. We did an ad last year. She took an 8-year-old, a 17-year-old, and big old me at the World Versatility Show and won top 5 with all 3 of us. DJ won, I got second, of course. But Miss Angel has done this forever. She does speed events, but what I tell people is the most important gear for a versatility horse, not your gaits, not anything else, is whoa. I can let her run as fast as she wants to run because at any time, middle of pattern, somebody else running a pattern, I say whoa, she stops. Because it's not about the barrels, it's not about running, it's listening to your rider. So next slide, please. And as you can tell, we have little ones and old ones. Just point of interest, if you ever have a kid do catalog race, make sure they don't put it in their mouth where they can't see on the way home. The other part is, I have rehabbed, I guess that's not a proper term, but I have rehabbed 6 performance horses. The little gray right there is one of them. He came into my barn, his eyes were just simply dead. He could have cared less if you beat him, whatever you did to him. And it took us about 6 months, and now he's everybody's favorite. He'll do anything you ask, anywhere you ask. Now, he still has spirit, he still gets up and moves, but he rides to the rider, and he loves his work. And he's barefoot. Next slide, please. Another thing for people to look for if you're looking for a versatility horse, as I said, it doesn't have to be a strict bloodline. We bred for them, and I couldn't show them because I was a trainer, so I wasn't allowed to show in trail pleasure or country pleasure. But these are 4 horses, and they're each 2 generations. It's a mother and daughter and her father and daughter. The horse that this in is 26 years old. That's Eldorado Surprise. We lost him this last year at 29. But he had re-entered the show ring after being out of it for almost 8 years. And what I want to explain to people is versatility will save this breed if you guys are smart. Now that sounds bad because I know versatility's always kind of been the backyard thing. people that go to versatility shows are friendly. You forgot your girth, I'll bring it. Or here, go grab one of mine. This was driven home to me at the Foch National Show one year. I walked up with Mr. Eldorado, and I had my leather halter on, and I was all ready to go out in natural horsemanship. Well, there's a rule, you can't have any metal on your horse. Well, I don't travel with anything nylon. And there's a competitor standing beside me ready to go in when the gatekeeper said, you can't show him like that. She took off her halter and let me use it and go out and do the class. Then she got it back so she could go out and do the class. I learned later that she normally won the class. And Eldorado is just so amazing, he won it. But there was no hard feelings. When we go into versatility classes, we're very competitive in the ring, but we're rooting for everybody when we get out of the ring. Cheating is not shined upon. People will get nasty with you if you cheat. So this whole idea that cheating is normal and I'm stupid for not cheating, I've been told that many times as a trainer. I won't cheat, and they get really mad at me. I've lost horses over it, and I just smile and say, I want to sleep at night. So next slide, please. So this is the same horse. When I tell people you learn 2 new events each year, find events you like to try. Those other events will continue to get better the more you do them. This is the same horse on the right-hand picture. He was a 4-year-old at the NWA show many years ago, and now he carries my other 83-year-old gentleman, and this is Angel's son. He was bred to a Ray Coram stallion that was just hotter than the dickens that I didn't know one at the time, but he is a big 16-hand monster full of spirit, but he will listen to you. So that's what you're looking for in a versatility horse. Next slide, please. I'm going to take a minute. My apologies. This water glass is my favorite event, and I will tell you why. There is a story, and I wasn't back there at the day, so I don't know for sure, but Bob Womack put it in his book, so I'm feeling it's pretty solid. That Albert DeMent, back when they were still showing at the Nashville State Fair, before the celebration started, everybody would leave the stands when it was time for the walking horse classes because the saddlebreds and the Morgans and everybody made it look really cool. So Albert was sitting there with his champion that had won a couple of times. He puts his reins in his mouth, takes a glass of water in each hand, and rides up and down the grandstand to show people why these are such incredible horses. So we do water class today, and I consider it a heritage class. I know people look at me a little funny because it's a game. You get to Tennessee, it's not a game, folks. I get real serious. The mare on the right is my Midnight Sun granddaughter, and she has won it in Foch, in Inwa, and in Tweeba over the years. I have never had her trained, and people get really frustrated at me because she moves so beautifully. You need to put some shoe on her, need to move her up. And I'm like, you know what? I took that horse one day, did 20 classes in a versatility show. The next day went out and did a novice competitive trail ride. And she won it, only losing 7 points out of 400. It's just, I want a smooth ride. I don't understand why you want one that camelbacks all the time. And for versatility, I will tell you, if you put a plantation shoe, a heavier shoe on a horse, it really limits your options. I've seen people run speed events with heavy shoes, and I pray because they're going to tear up that horse. It's just the way life is. Versatility, up until a couple of years ago, never allowed hoof bands in the ring, never allowed heavy shoes or chains. And I asked about 8 years ago at a WOA meeting to Lonnie Messick at the time. He was talking about how we were so clean and how we didn't get tickets. And I said, I have a question for you. You check my poor mare 20 times at a horse show. How many versatility horses have ever gotten a ticket? None. There is a way to promote these horses and get them out there. The biggest thing I've realized in the last 2 years is we do versatility in a shell. We do versatility at walking horse shows. We've always gone to 4-H shows and promoted them at 4-H shows. And when I first started with the one that was 18 a few minutes ago, I was told by my vet, who's one of the best vets in the state of Illinois, don't do it, go get a quarter horse. You are not going to compete in 4-H with a walking horse. Well, that poor little mare on the front of your thing that's driving, she had just had a baby a couple months ago when we went to the first 4-H show, and Angel got hurt. So the old mare, who was 18 with a bag like you wouldn't believe, went to that show, and she won the first 2 classes she walked into. And everybody looked at me and said, "That's a walking horse." And I'm like, "Yeah." Over the years, we have had the top pole-bending horse in DeWitt County. Our kids have won the versatility high point against quarter horses, Appaloosas, paints, the whole works. The last 4 years, 3 of the last 4 years. They don't do it because we have ringer horses. We have good horses. And that's the biggest thing. People think you have good walking horses, and I even bought into that. Yeah, I have a good walking horse. Guys, we have the best horse out there. We have a horse that can do everything and still get us home where we can walk. Okay, next slide, please. I challenge everybody to look at the driving classes. I appreciate taking a cart to shows is a pain. Usually there's only 1 or 2 classes. It's hard to get it all hooked up. Call me. I have an Amish guy that does quick connects, so it's much easier. But it makes the kids and the people that drive the horses learn that much more about their horses. And it retains the spirit of what these horses were meant to be. They're meant to do everything. Look around in your barn to that horse is sitting there. We call it the key test. When I would go out and look for a new horse, I rattle my keys. If the horse runs away, I got some work to do. If the horse stands there and goes, well, then I'm a little bit in trouble. If that horse comes up and starts trying to eat the keys out of my hand, I got a versatility horse. They're curious, they will try. Okay, so I'm finally confident enough I can brag a little bit. Finally, 2 years ago, I won the professional high point at the World Versatility Show. I've been doing this for, as I said, 20 years. I started out competitive trail riding Angel for the first year. And when we went to our first practice, she had a 6 and 3 at her first P&R, incoming, not outgoing. And the lady wanted to know, what do you do with this horse? I said, I trail ride her. But I trail rode her every day, 6 miles. So the horses can do everything. What I tell people is if you're going to be a long-term versatility person, learn a new skill each year. Horses will get bored if you don't. Dressage looks like a wonderful one to keep working on. This year is cattle. I don't know how Angel's going to like that, but this year is cattle because she's competed in about everything up into that. Are there any questions real quick? Because I know they're going to run me off. Thank you, everybody.